As provided in the Constitution, the next election shall be held in August next year. But as economists would put it, that is if all factors remain constant. And a year into the election, the mood is set. Even as analysts caution that early campaigns could derail the implementation of the Constitution, some of whose provisions are set to level the playfield for the elections built as one of the most competitive in Kenya's political history.
The 2012 campaigns are here with us, and unfortunately, they are rather early.
I think it's Chinua Achebe who said that when you see a toad jumping up and down during the day, you must know that something is very wrong.
Prime Minister Raila Odinga, who is seen as the man to beat in next year's elections, going by recent opinion polls, has been blowing hot and cold, making forays into perceived hostile political territories such as Meru, and returning to old strongholds such as Uasin Gishu, the home turf of his political ally and rival, William Ruto. Observers are divided on Raila's strategy. Some say his quiet approach could work for him, while some see it as fodder for his rivals who have already hit the road.
I think if you look at it that way, then you might say that because William Ruto has already hit the road, and because he is making certain noises and making them consistently, or making certain allegations and making them consistently, then they require that Raila must come out of his cool and begin to shape a response strategy, because a delay on that will simply mean that people will begin to believe what they're hearing, because they say a lie told several times or something said over and over tends to be believable.
Raila's best strategy now, his best calculation is to shut up. And every opportunity he gets to shut up, he's better off shutting up. And why do I say so? It's because Raila is in his element when he's fighting, but more so when he's fighting a force that is bigger than him. Then he does brilliantly. And when you set him against William Ruto, Raila is bound to make a lot of errors of judgment. If you set him against Uhuru Kenyatta, the same thing will happen.
Behind the scenes, Raila has embarked on revamping the Orange Democratic Movement. There are plans to revive the party's pentagon with new and additional faces. There is also an attempt to rid the party of rebels that include councillors and members of parliament. ODM! All aimed at positioning the party as a mass vehicle of loyalists, similar to the one assembled for the 2007 election. But the Prime Minister's dilemma lies in dealing with the rebels, some of whom were instrumental in his 2007 campaigns that left him at the doorsteps of State House, thanks to a bungled process.
When you have people who you have worked with, there is a relationship that has developed between you and them. There is a part of you that you share, and it's not as easy as people would tell you, shed off so-and-so. So there's that point of a human being, and I think that the Prime Minister occasionally has that challenge, because he knows where he's come from with some of these people.
ODM died immediately the clashes ended, and there is no PNU. All those parties exist only in paper. So for you to expel Ruto as ODM deputy chairman is to play a political nonsense, in my view.
Raila's strategy is being gauged against that of William Ruto. The Eldoret North MP has been on a campaign trail that has seen him leave his Rift Valley stronghold and venture into regions such as Coast and Western Kenya. The regions are seen as potential swing vote zones in next year's elections. Those in Ruto's camp say the strategy is to establish a national network ahead of the elections as early as possible. Ruto has declared he will be ditching the Orange Democratic Movement to seek the presidency on a UDM ticket.
His strategy is working very well because he is making himself in the public arena, and he seems to be very well advised, whoever is advising him. Because for politicians to be away from the public mind can be devastating. For him to be stirring the waters, not just in Eldoret. In fact, he has not been concentrating on Eldoret. He's going outside everywhere else to be seen that he's a viable and credible candidate for president.
Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka and Deputy Prime Minister Uhuru Kenyatta, who are also eyeing the top seat, have adopted a wait-and-see approach. After initial hyped rallies under a grouping dubbed the G7 Alliance, the PNU coalition Big Two have somewhat taken a back seat. Observers say the G7 Alliance could be dead altogether, thanks to rivalries informed by suspicion and mistrust and lack of a common ideology.
As a political scientist, I can confirm to you that there is nothing like G7 alliance. G7 alliance is a pigment in the imagination of politicians, that it does exist. But if you're to look at real politics, as we call it, that's a politics driven by interest and driven by reality.
The idea of G7 is a stillborn idea, because this is what kills the idea. The moment Uhuru goes to Central, the people tell him it's you. The moment Ruto goes to Rift Valley, the people tell him it is him. And when they go to Western, Wamalwa expects to be told that it's him, and people are still saying we shall decide. And then, Kalonzo, Kambani is being told it's you.
Inside that, in the PNU coalition, there is the presence of several heavyweights eyeing the presidency is undermining any structured campaigns. Others say the coalition could be considering a strategy adopted by President Kibaki in the run-up to the last election, where he remained partyless until 3 months into the election. Observers, however, say this could backfire.
If they are looking at that, then perhaps they are leaving it too late, because the last time they had the incumbency, they had a candidate who had had a stint, and it was not difficult for that candidate's position to be regained quickly and move on. In other words, they had a ready candidate in 2007, and they could afford to wait for so long.
It is because of this uncertainty within PNU coalition that new faces are emerging. Gashoka MP Mutava Musyimi has launched his presidential bid, while NARC Kenya's Martha Karua has intensified her campaigns, venturing into Nyanza province that is considered ODM domain and a hostile political territory. Political observers predict that campaigns for next year's elections will intensify as soon as crucial bills on the implementation of the constitution are passed. Key among these bills include one on the management of elections and the review of constituency boundaries. The other one is on police reforms that is still awaiting parliamentary approval. Emmanuel Talam, KTN, Nairobi.